at the beginning of this Mass today, Holy Mother, the Church celebrates the memorial of a great saint, St. John of the Cross, who was a very close ally of St. Teresa of Avila. And St. John was a notable poet. He was also a very famous mystic in the history of the Church, and he wrote so many spiritual treatises that have endured and remain till today, that they have withstood the test of time. Many people who want to grow in spirituality and who have come in contact with his writings testify to the rich inputs that you find in his writings, so to speak. And according to the history or the biography of St. John of the Cross, he suffered terribly, cruel persecutions. He suffered untold punishments. He was thrown into prison several times because of his convictions. And he suffered a lot in the hands of the Carmelites, the unreformed Carmelites, who did a lot of things to punish him because of his stance on spirituality, morality, and the rest of them. But he stood firm in his convictions and then went into mystical life of reflection, life of contemplation, and was able to write so many wonderful spiritual treatises, as I've already mentioned. And today, we are celebrating his life. We are celebrating the legacies that he left for us. I would encourage us to emulate him, but I don't want any of us to emulate him by going to prison. We don't want that kind of emulation. I don't want anybody to suffer the kind of torture and punishment and persecution that he had to bear. We don't pray for such today, but we can emulate this person by the kind of life he lived. You and myself, you and I know that we live in a world that is full of noise. We live in a chaotic world, a world that is flowing like the traffic on the LA roads. You know how the traffic here in Los Angeles is terribly chaotic. That is the nature of life in the modern world. An average person is on the speed lane, on the fast lane, running so speedily without applying the brakes. But we can imitate John of the Cross by kind of taking some time off to get into deep spiritual reflection about our lives. Take a retreat once in a while and think about your life and think about your interaction with God, your communication, your rapport or relationship with your God. We already know that such experiences are very, very enriching. Whenever we are able to kind of get out from our normal reading, our normal activities, and then go to a quiet place for spiritual retreat, we normally come back and come out of it highly enriched, highly energized to be able to face the realities that confront us every day. And so this is the kind of imitation of St. John of the Cross I want all of us to try and do, not that of going to prison or dying so early. So we pray in this Mass that through his intercession, we would be able to try and make out time. He was a mystic. He lived a life of contemplation and prayer. We could also learn from him to somehow try to create some silence in our lives. God hardly speaks to a noisy soul. Even when he speaks, the noisy soul hardly hears. You can only hear when you are silent. So we need to cultivate that silence in our lives today to be able to listen and hear the voice of the Lord.